Hey guys, today's video is all about products that have grown on me, or really that I have grown to love. Some of these things I used to either dislike or just not really use, not really get the hype, but not only did I find a way to make them work, I've actually grown to really love these products, and I'm so glad that I didn't give up on them and that I didn't declutter them. Now, really none of these products are things that I actively hated at one time. They're all just kind of things that I was kind of in the middle about or just wasn't really reaching for much, but now I have discovered how wonderful they are. So, oh yeah, before we get into it, I guess I should address the elephant in the room here. My hair is red. I also got it cut. Much needed haircut. Feels so much lighter, so much better now. So I decided I wanted to experiment with a new color of hair. I've never really been one to dye my hair, but I don't know, I just kind of got the itch to just switch things up a little bit. And this is actually the second go around that I did. The first time I did it, I didn't love the way it turned out. So I ended up using a mix of overtone, rose gold, and ginger, and then the Garnier hair mask in vibrant red to get this color. And I'm really happy with it. The first time I did it, I just used the two overtone colors and I felt like it just ended up a little bit too brassy. So this is kind of more what I was going for, just kind of like a rosy red. And I just did this today, so you can actually see my scalp is still stained a little bit. Yeah, just try to ignore that. But that is the hair update. Let's go ahead and get into the 7 products I have grown to love. So first things first is this Sigma color correcting duo. I have the shade light to medium, and this is actually the newest product to me in this lineup. This isn't even so much about this product as it is about color correctors in general. I just feel like I have really grown to like having a color corrector in my makeup routine, whereas I used to not use them at all. In fact, I had the Becca under eye corrector for a long time and I never used it, so I ended up decluttering it. But then Sigma sent me this color correcting duo in PR recently, and I thought, let's just try it out. I actually did film like a full face of new makeup video like probably about a month ago where I tested this for the first time, and I really wasn't sure if I felt like it was worth the extra step. But I got some comments from you guys saying like, no, I really think it made a difference in your under eyes. So that kind of got in my head like, okay, maybe it is doing something. And it is definitely a subtle difference that it makes. And I don't think it's a must, like I can skip this and I'll still be happy with the way my makeup looks. But this just adds like a little boost of brightness to my under eyes that I wouldn't get otherwise. The more I've used it, the more I've come to really see the difference that it makes. And really what I love about this so much is the texture of it. So in the past, like I said, I had the Becca under eye corrector and I liked it, but that corrector is so like thick and creamy and emollient, which in some ways is kind of nice, especially if you have dry under eyes. But for me, it was really the thickness that I think I wasn't enjoying about it, because the way I like to use color correctors is in combination with a concealer. So to me, if my color corrector is too thick and then I'm going on top of it with a concealer, it just feels like too much product on my under eyes. But this color corrector is so lightweight, like it really just melts into your skin. It's very thin, but it really packs a punch. Like a little bit goes a long way. So I don't feel like I'm like caking a ton of product on my under eyes when I use this alongside a concealer. So that's really what I think is so special about this. Also, the shades, when you look at these, they don't even necessarily look like color corrector shades. You have a lighter one and then a slightly deeper one, and they have just like the slightest peachy undertone. The lighter one has more of a peachy undertone, and then the deeper one is a little bit more of like, I would say like a really subtle salmon undertone. But they do a great job canceling out the blue and purple discoloration on my under eyes, even though they are pretty close to my skin tone as it is. So yeah, I don't know, this has really grown on me. I've been using it almost every single day, and usually I'll just do a mix of both of the shades. Sometimes I'll just use one or the other, or I'll just use the lighter one if I want to just tap a little bit on top of my concealer to brighten up if I just feel like I need a little more brightness. And it's brightening, but it doesn't look too light for my skin tone either. So yeah, really, really a big fan of this. Like surprisingly, I didn't really think that I would get so much use out of a color corrector, but this one I actually really enjoy using, and I do feel like it's worth that extra step now that I've kind of gotten the hang of it. So let's talk about a couple more base products now. First up, we have the Glow Recipe Watermelon Dewdrops. I never hated this product, like I've always thought it was pretty good, I just didn't feel like it was worth the hype, and I didn't feel like it was a must-have. But I have recently gotten back into using this, and I've really come to appreciate what this does. So there's really just one specific way that I like to use this, and that is mixing it with the concealer to make a foundation. I did this a long time ago with the Too Faced Born This Way concealer back when I was panning that one, when I wanted to use that one as a foundation, but it was too thick on my face to just use as a standalone foundation. I mixed some of this in, and this would sort of dilute it a little bit, add a little bit of extra hydration so that it would sit well on my skin. But after I used up that concealer, I kind of stopped doing that. But now I have been doing the same thing with my Kosas concealer, which I'm currently trying to use up as well. And this is like the prettiest foundation that I own right here. These two products mixed together. It seriously looks so good. It makes my entire face just look super plump, and almost it gives it like that glass skin sort of look where it's really smooth looking. It's hydrated, but it doesn't look like greasy or shiny. It just looks so healthy. I'll just put some concealer on the back of my hand and then put like half a pump of these Glow Recipe drops, mix it together, and apply it all over my face. And it looks more beautiful than any foundation that I own. It looks so good. I've been wearing that combination daily lately. Like that's just what I've been using every single day. I am kind of trying to hurry and finish this up because I feel like the smell, it doesn't smell bad yet, but I feel like the smell is starting to change. Maybe I'm just paranoid, but I really just want to finish this up because I know it goes bad quickly, and I am actually really close to being done. Like I think I am going to need to remove the stopper probably like next time I use it because I'm really not able to get much out of there anymore. So if you have this, or you could honestly try this with any hydrating serum or even like glowy primer that you have. Most concealers, like you can try to wear any concealer as a foundation, but most of the ones that I've tried, even like the really hydrating lightweight ones like this Kosas one, worn all over my face as a foundation, it was just a little bit too thick and heavy looking. But adding this in makes it sit so nicely on my skin. I feel like I could probably do that with any of my concealers and get a really similar effect. So I've really grown to appreciate this product. Now, once I use this one up, I'm planning on getting the Essence dupe because I've heard it's really similar and I would love to save some money because, I mean, this is not cheap. And I don't think you need to buy this specific one. You could, like I said, you could probably try it with any hydrating serum that you have. But I'm glad that I kept this around and found a good way to use it because now I love it. Next up, we have to talk about the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. So, kind of like the Glow Recipe drops, I never hated this. I never thought it was bad, but for the longest time, I just didn't really reach for it because I didn't feel like I even knew how to fit it into my makeup routine. But this year, I decided I wanted to try and pan this, and so that kind of forced me to try out some different ways of using it, and I've found a way of using it now that I absolutely love so much that once I use this up, I'm planning on purchasing the e.l.f. dupe of it because I just like having this type of product in my makeup routine, and I never thought I would say that. So this is really such a multi-purpose product. There's so many different ways you can use this. You can use it as a primer, like a luminous primer. You can use it as a standalone base product. For me, it's a little bit too luminous for that, but it does have some coverage to it, which makes it different from other like liquid highlighters or glowy primers. You can also use it as a liquid highlighter. You can mix it with products. You could do so many different things with this, but there was never really a way that I felt like was life-changing. But what I've been doing with this recently is basically using it as a foundation on targeted parts of my face. So there are certain parts of my face where I don't really have anything to cover, but I still want to just even out my skin tone. And it also just so happens that a lot of those are kind of the high points of my face, like my cheekbones, my forehead, my nose. So what I'll do is I'll kind of dot my regular foundation around my face like normal, and then before I blend that out, I'll just take some of this to, like I said, the high points of my cheeks, my forehead, my nose, just kind of dot this around in between where I've applied the foundation. And then I will take my beauty sponge and just blend all of that out. And so that way I am getting this really beautiful glow on the parts of my face that I want it, I'm also getting a little bit of coverage there, so it's still kind of serving as a foundation in a way because it's giving me some coverage and just evening out my skin tone in those areas. And then once everything is blended out, everything just looks so healthy. And really what's so special about this, I've realized, is that it is luminous. Like you can see it there on my hand. It is luminous, but it's not luminous like a highlighter. Like most liquid highlighters, if you put that all over your face, you would get Tin Man vibes for sure. Like it would almost look too metallic, maybe even a little bit sparkly. Most liquid highlighters just aren't meant to be used that way. But this, when you look up close, you really don't see any shimmer or glitter or anything. In fact, I don't even quite know, like, where is the sheen coming from? Now I'm trying to figure it out because I guess it just has like a super, super fine pearlescent glow to it. So that is my favorite way to use this product. And now that I've been doing that also like just about every day recently. And I'm actually getting really close to the end on this. I did take the stopper out a couple weeks ago, and there's really not a whole lot left. When this is done, I don't think I'll repurchase this exact one because it is really expensive. And I've heard that the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter is a dupe for this. I'm excited to try that one out once this one is done, but now that I have discovered the beauty of this type of product, I don't think I will ever go back. I think I'll always have something like this in my makeup routine. And that's the beauty of a project pan too. I mean, two of these products that I'm talking about today are things that I discovered because of project panning. The Glow Recipe Drops aren't in my project pan, but it's helping me to use up one of those products. And it just so happens that I discovered a new favorite way to do my foundation. And with the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, I thought I was just going to use it up just because it's kind of an okay product. Just, you know, I didn't feel strongly about it either way, but it turns out I actually love it. So I'm glad I didn't give up on this. I'm glad I didn't just like declutter it or get rid of it because it wasn't wowing me, it wasn't amazing to me, because now it totally is. Okay, so next I want to talk about cream highlighters. So as I've said before, I'm really more of a powder highlighter kind of person. I don't really use cream highlighters for the most part. I've stopped buying them because I do just prefer powder highlighters. And the main reason that I do prefer powder highlighters is because I like to apply my highlighter after I've applied powder. And most cream products for me don't apply well on top of powders. But lately I am realizing that a lot more cream products work over powders than I thought. And so this is the Minori cream highlighter, and I've always liked this highlighter. I've always thought it was really pretty, but because it was a cream highlighter, I just wasn't using it because for the longest time I just didn't really know how to fit this into my makeup routine. But I've recently discovered that this, even though it is a cream, it applies beautifully on top of powder. So today, I'm actually wearing two different cream highlighters because I wanted to talk about both of them. So anyway, I'm wearing this one on this side of my face. Basically, as the last step of my makeup, or as the last step of my face makeup, I just took a little bit of this on my finger, tapped it on, and it looks perfect. It didn't disrupt my makeup. I just love the way it looks. I still get that really nice dewy effect that a cream highlighter gives, but it didn't mess with the makeup underneath at all. So I'm really happy that I discovered that I actually can use this highlighter a lot more often now, because for the longest time I just wasn't really using it, but I always thought it was such a pretty highlighter. I mean, look at that. That is so pretty in the little jar. And this is the shade Champagne, by the way. I think what I figured out, because this kind of has a cream to powder-ish texture. It's not a true cream to powder, but it's not a very emollient cream highlighter, I guess I should say. It has a thin, almost powdery feel as you blend it out. I think that type of cream product tends to sit well even over powders. As long as you just gently tap it over it, it doesn't really mess with it. But I've even found the same thing with cream blushes. I have these two, the LYS cream blush and the About Face cream blush. Both of these also have that kind of cream to powder texture. They're not super balmy, and both of these apply well on top of powders as well, even though they are a cream formula. Okay, so the other highlighter that I want to talk about, and the one that I'm wearing on this side of my face, is this ColourPop Super Shock highlighter in the shade Monster. This has been in my collection for the longest time, and I really, for a while there, I really wasn't using this. I thought about decluttering it because I just wasn't using it and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't using it. But recently I put this into my everyday makeup drawer because it is this really pretty pink duochrome. that I felt like went really well with like Valentine's themed makeup. I've been wearing a lot of pink makeup recently, so I decided to roll it in, and I've been using it so much. This has really grown on me since I rolled it into my Shop My Stash, but it took me some trial and error to figure out my favorite way to use it, but I'm really glad that I gave it a few more solid chances. So the way that I used to apply it, I would just tap it on with my finger, but I felt like it would kind of lift up my blush underneath. So I don't know why I didn't think to do this sooner, but I tried applying this with a brush, like with a highlighter brush, and that actually works so much better. So I'll just use this type of highlighter brush. This is the Sigma F03, but any kind of like smaller, denser highlighter brush will work well. So I will just swirl my brush through there and then tap it on to my cheekbone. So I don't rub it back and forth, I'll just tap it on. That works so much better than my finger. I don't know why I never thought to apply this product that way. I think it's just because the Super Shock formula, I just was never really sure whether to treat it as a cream or a powder highlighter, but really I think just treating it as a powder highlighter, using a brush with it, is the best way to do it, because I still get a really nice glow, but it doesn't seem to lift up my blush in the same way that I felt like it was before, and I'm still able to apply it on top of blush. And now that I've figured out how to use this finally, after owning it for probably over 3 years now, I am so glad that I didn't get rid of it. I'm so glad I gave it some more chances, because it's a little bit more subtle than other highlighters that I have, but that pinkish glow that it gives is just so brightening and so special. So I'm really glad that I kept this and that I now finally know how to use it, because I think I'm going to get a lot more use out of it now. So really, I think what I'm making the case for here is don't be too quick to declutter things. Like, really make sure that you've exhausted all of the different ways of using something before you decide to get rid of it, because sometimes I'll start out not really liking something or not really understanding how to use something, or just not really feeling that strongly one way or the other about a product, but the longer I use it and get to know it, I will find that I actually love it. I just had to figure out how I prefer to use it. So last couple of products actually are both from Essence. First, we have this Essence Soft and Precise Lip Pencil. I bought this last year for like a $5 and under makeup video that I was doing, and I did like it. I had no problem with it, but for some reason, it just ended up being one of those products that I tested it, I liked it, and then it kind of sat in my drawer and didn't really get picked up over other lip liners. But recently, I have fallen in love with this lip liner. So this is in the shade Happy. I don't think I've ever tried a lip liner quite like this. To me, this is a very unique type of formula. It almost feels powdery as you apply it. It's very matte and it's very thin. It applies so smoothly. I feel like it's kind of hard to get that happy medium of lip liners where you want it to not be too creamy so that it doesn't slide around, so that it actually does stay on your lips well, but you also don't want it to be so dry that it's tugging at your lips or that it hurts to apply. This is a very interesting texture because the tip of the pencil itself is very firm. Like, it's not creamy at all, but it applies so smoothly and softly. You don't have to press very hard. You don't have to tug at your lips to get the color on there. The color comes off very easily, but it comes off in a really nice, thin, matte, almost powdery finish. And yeah, just a really unique texture. I think these lip liners are $2 or $3. And I also kind of like the wooden pencil. I think I saw Katie Jane Hughes showing like how she likes to use lip liners, and she was saying that she prefers wooden lip pencils because you can kind of hold them on their side and use like the side of it to outline your lips instead of using the tip, and that way you're able to get like a much smoother blend. And I thought that made a lot of sense, so it kind of got me back into the idea of wooden pencils, and I just think this is a really nice, affordable lip liner. And I really just like to wear it under like a sheer lip gloss, so today I'm wearing it under the Urban Decay lip gloss in My Dude. I don't think they sell this anymore, but it's like a sheer coral lip gloss. And that's really the way that I've been wearing it the most recently, and I really like that little pairing. So the other Essence product, this is going to surprise you just as much as it surprised me. This is the Essence Bye Bye Panda Eyes Mascara. And I've said many times before, I didn't think this was a bad mascara, but I really just found it very underwhelming. Like, it just didn't really do much for my lashes. I found it lengthening, but it didn't really make my lashes stand out like I want them to. It definitely wasn't volumizing like it said it was. I just wasn't really in love with it. But the longer I had this open, and we're talking like after about the 3 or 4 month mark was actually when this started to get good. So it took a long time. Longer than most people will even keep their mascaras. I know a lot of people like to switch out their mascaras every 3 months. I usually will stretch it to 5 or 6 months, and the reason why I do that is because the period after opening symbol on mascaras almost always says 6 months. So if the brand says it's good for 6 months, I'm just going to go with that. There are preservatives in here. They test it to make sure that it's good for 6 months, so I'm just going to trust them on that, and that way I don't have to buy mascara every 3 months. But it wasn't until about the 4 month mark of having this open that it finally started to reach its sweet spot. You know how a lot of times with mascaras you have to wait like a couple weeks until they really get to their prime? This one took 4 months to get to its prime, but once it did, I actually grew to really like it. There was kind of a turning point where I guess maybe the formula had kind of thickened up a little bit or just dried out a little bit to where suddenly I started to really like the way this made my lashes look. It started to give them a lot more volume. I'd always found it pretty lengthening, but I just didn't feel like you could really see my lashes from a distance because they were lengthened, but they were not, there was no volume there, so you really couldn't see them. But eventually, after having this open long enough, it actually did start to give me a lot more volume. So if you have this mascara, maybe just give it some time. Don't lose hope. It might get better. If you're comfortable keeping your mascaras open a little bit longer than 3 months, maybe put it away and bring it back out and see how you like it, because I've actually really been enjoying this mascara for the past few weeks. But today was actually the last time I'm going to be using this because now it really is, like, it has been open for too long. I think it's been about 6 months now, so time to retire this one. I still don't think I would buy this again because I don't want to have to wait that long for a mascara to look the way I want it to on my lashes. But really, I just wanted to give a PSA. If you have this and you don't like it, maybe give it some time to dry out a little bit, and you might grow to really like it. So those are just some products that really grew on me, and I'm so glad that I didn't give up on these. Let me know if this has ever happened to you. I think it really just goes to show that just because you don't love something from the very beginning, it doesn't mean that it's a bad product. Sometimes you need to try it again, try it in different ways, and you might actually find that you really like it. But thank you all so much for hanging out today. I hope you had fun. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you would like to support my channel further, you can check out the Patreon or the channel membership. Otherwise, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye.